Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today, special day, Thursdays, as we do our in-depth. We welcome back to the show Kata Phipps. How you doing, Kata?
Can you hear me? Thank you. A little bit nervous. Yes.
Good. And so you should be. No, you're going to be absolutely fine. We're just going to go through your story. First things first, just going to share to the groups. Do you want to let people know what you've been up to this week before we go into your story itself?
This week, I've been working quite heavy with the Titan Network. Some cool things are happening there. Got an official role as a leader in one of the groups. I'm not sure that's been announced yet, so maybe that's going to want to kill me. But
well, there you go. You just announced it.
Moving houses.
You're moving again because you just got to the UK, didn't you? So how long have you been back in the UK now?
My belongings from the US are arriving. So yeah, that's that.
Excellent. Okay, let me just check that I've done these. That's been done. Okay, that's been shared. Cool. Right, that's all done. So let's take it back, way back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about early years. Let's discuss under the age of 10, say. Did you have any kind of entrepreneurial spirit then, or is this something that came later?
No, I did not. It came later. I was a very geeky, academic-driven person. I think I was almost built that way by my father. To study, I always knew that my path was going to be school, university, life. I didn't really see it as any other option. So no, I did not have any interest in business. It was not my thing. I found it a bit of a hassle, just never interested me really. I did have a fascination and ease for numbers, but more of the, I don't know, engineering type, if you could call it. Don't know.
Yeah. So do you want to let the audience know where you're from?
No, straight A-star student.
Yeah.
Chile.
Okay. Talk to us about Chile.
Chile, Santiago. Very small country compared to all the other ones where I lived. Lovely people, very cheerful. Financially not quite as developed in terms of benefits and opportunities and the UK or America even. Therefore, people everyone is a hustler where I come from. You're just creative, you get out there, you make it happen, you feed your family. And you are content with what you've got. And even if it's not raining but pouring, you still manage to put a smile on your face. That's what Chile is like.
Your audio and picture keeps dropping. Do you have? Can you update your connection at all?
Back up. I will. I'm going to pull my finger over the screen while I do.
Yeah, no worries. Apologies. It's just because no, it's fine. It's just it kept dropping, so just want to make sure we've got a steady connection there. So while you're doing that, I'm going to say, you see some hellos here. Tiffany says, can't wait for this one. Michelle Venton says, can't wait. A lady with so much to learn from in so many ways. Athena says, so proud of you, Kata, such a goddess. Facebook user says, Kata is such a rock star. Who we got here in the feed? Matt's in the feed here as well. Anyone who has questions for Kata, let us know, and we will ask her throughout the show. Andrew Kramer is here. Hey, Andrew, I dropped that voice clip to you the other day. Hopefully you got that okay. So we're just waiting for Kata to come back now. We've lost her. She's come off screen. What else is going on while we're waiting for Kata? I'll be launching Seller Poll in 2 weeks' time. It should be the week commencing the 26th. We'll do a launch announcement. We secured the sponsor, but now we've secured a new sponsor. I won't go into details, but we're ready to go We're just building out the new platform. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that over the coming weeks. I think here she is. She's back in the game. You right?
Yeah, sorry about
Kat,
that.
you there?
Yeah, life in the country.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, can now. Okay, let's talk about influences in your life at a very early age. Who is the main influences in your life and why?
My dad. My dad's been my whole life my biggest influence. He started working as the security guard at the company that he's currently the workers president, has quite a high role. Always work in the same place, educating himself through while maintaining his job and just going from one position to another. He would just get it done, aim
Yeah.
high, and do it that way. And never gave me any other chance than work hard in life, really,
Yeah.
which was very rough at the time. He was very strict, but it worked, and I very admire him for that, really.
Excellent. And talk to me about early school. I mean, I know you said you was an academic. Did you enjoy school? Did you embrace it?
Yes, I've always been a bit of a geeky. I love studying, I love learning, I love reading, and yeah, very boring, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't part of the cool kids. I was part of the nerdy ones.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
yeah.
you're breaking up so much. Can we be cheeky and ask you to move inside where you're nearer to the Wi-Fi? Would that be possible? Because there's a massive
Yes.
delay and your screen keeps freezing.
Yeah, I will
So
do.
if you want to
Yes.
run in with your laptop,
I will do that.
and then we'll keep things rolling.
We'll do that.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So Kat is going to run indoors so that she's got a better internet connection. And now I've got to sit here on my own and fill a few minutes out. So what can we talk about? Has anyone got any questions in the feed? Other things that are coming up as well, that for people that don't have tickets for Seller Sessions Live, we moved the date again to May 15 next year. And so basically what's happened is we've moved the date. We was going to do a COVID safe event, but because of the changes that's been happening here in the UK, there is a good chance that it could get shut down. Even though we've got a COVID safe venue, we'll be able to do the social distancing, we'll be able to do all the masks and everything else. What I didn't want is everyone to travel and then suddenly 2 days before the event, it gets shut down and people spent and wasted money. So we're going to move that to May 15th next year. We haven't had any refund requests as of yet, but we do have a main list, like for a wait list. So if anyone wants to join the wait list, they can go or just drop me a message, Danny@sellersessions.com, or you can drop it to Kerry, Kerrie, @sellersessions.com and have a chat with her. As mentioned, seller polls coming up in a couple of weeks. What else you've got coming? Databrill, we're launching the new site pretty soon, and we've got a free tool for the industry as well. It's going to be related in around keywords. As I said, it's free. No sign-ups required. We don't store the data or anything else, but I wanted to do something a little bit different to what's out there at the moment. Ellis has been developing that tool. So we'll launch that in about 2 to 3 weeks time. And I'll do a promo on the show so people can use it. But as I said, it won't be a supported tool as such, but this gives you the opportunity to help you determine which are the right search terms. And it don't matter what learning level that you have, because the systematic thing that we put in place will make it easy for you to diagnose which ones are the best, which to leave out, etc., etc. So that will be coming in a few weeks' time. What else have we got going on? I'll be popping out a newsletter because I've been invited on to speak quite a few summits. So next week I'll be speaking on the seven-figure summit for Gary Huang. We've done the pre-record interview today. We're talking about mindset, some of the Facebook lives and stuff. On that lineup, you've got Leran Hirschkorn, Brandon Young, Tim Jordan, Yana Krakic, Sharon Evan, Cassandra Craven, Egler is on there, Greg Mercer, and lots of others. I think there's 30 or so. Next week, if you're a Helium 10 Elite member, me and the good doctor, Ellis Whitehead, next week will be on the show. for theirs next Thursday. So if you are a member, we will be going in depth on some advanced PPC stuff. It looks like Kata's back here in the game. So Kata, let's pick up from the thread that we had before. We'll go back to you, to your early childhood. We're in Chile. Biggest influences you were saying was your father.
Yeah, sorry about the internet, guys. Big influence, my dad, for sure. I just grew up knowing that you can build something out of being a no one. You know, nobody knows you. You started from the bottom, made your way up, and then with that comes a very sort of humble lifestyle where I somehow still managed to go to all of these fancy schools. My dad, back in the day, I didn't question it, but then looking back on it, he somehow always saves to send me to private schools because in South America is still very much the network, and the opportunities are not the same for the private sector and the public, obviously, much like in many other countries. So I never did wonder how is it that we could afford it, but I always wonder how can every single one of my friends go on holidays abroad and we couldn't, and have a car and we didn't, and I don't know, things like that. But it was quite natural, and it wasn't until like I was about 12, 13 that looking back started realizing, hold on a minute, the reason that we didn't have all the things that we did have was because they were investing everything in our education. I'm the eldest of three sisters. And that was very telling for me, the fact that my dad always focused on give his daughter's education over everything else is something that will forever be with me. So a great example there.
Cool. So early influences in terms of books. What were some of the books that you read back in the day?
It's the one I spoke about when we had the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Jonathan Silverstone, Seagull, was a book that I read at the time, which is basically about, you know, reaching higher than the sky and being different and just doing your own thing. And I always did a little bit of my own thing because I never knew how, but I did know that I was going to do big things. It sounds really spoiled, but I truly have never achieved something that I set myself to achieve. And I think that is because I lay the path, I see a goal, and I just go for it. I'm very, I'm a doer in that sense.
Yeah, you're focused and you get it done. Teenage years, early teens, what was going on there? What was you, what'd you get up to?
I actually was an A-star UK equivalent student throughout, but I was always, that was never something to be celebrated. According to my dad, that was my duty. So I had a tough childhood because I never had a good relationship with my mother. So I didn't grow up in a loving, caring home. We didn't do the hugging and the loving and the whole thing. I was very awkward kind of New Year's Eve sort of hug and a little bit of pat on the back. And every time I actually ask for recognition, I'm like, hey, I got another diploma, it will be like, well, that's your duty. You know, you're a student, that's what you're meant to do. So the biggest probably trouble that I ever got into, or the bigger disappointment I ever get my dad at the time, was the fact that I did eventually become a teen mother at quite an early age, at which time I didn't even know what sexual education was. And I'm talking about 17 years old, which is really, really stupid and lame now, but we're talking about 20 years ago. Catholic school throughout, A-star student. I literally had been kept in a bubble, and I just got pregnant. And I was presented with options to continue the pregnancy or not. And for some reason that I still don't understand, even though I knew how much my life was about to change if I decided to continue with it. I stood up to my mother for the first time my whole life and I said, no, I'm gonna have this baby. And I did.
Hmm.
So that was probably what changed things and start steering me a little bit more free, and I start making my own decisions. And what happened then is that my son, who is called Tom, is a wonderful young man now that just finished university himself. Tom was born, and he went to nursery, which is like, I don't know, kindergarten, or no, not kindergarten, like, I don't know what they call it in the US, but he basically went to daycare, I think it is. And I went back to school to finish my last year of the equivalent of high school. And right after that, I went off to university, and I would drop Tom off at his nursery, and I'll go to class myself. We will both be in education at the same time and growing all together, if you wish. And that was a very tough and difficult but doable journey that probably turned me into the woman that I am today.
1 second, your screen's frozen again. I'm just going to take you out the feed and bring you back in. 1 sec. Okay, you there? Yeah, great. So that's fine. So I didn't know any of this. Now, you put me on the spot. How many children do you have?
I have 2.
You have 2. And so...
Well, I have an adult son, and I have Lyra, who is 9.
Okay, but you said you were pregnant at 17, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And so which child was born when you were 17?
Tom.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. And so how much did that change your life? Being 17, it's very young in nowadays to be having children, right? Most people wait to their 30s. What kind of impact did that have on your mindset? And being 17 and literally been thrusted into womanhood at a very early age?
What happened to me was I realized that I've been sheltered, and there was a lot about life and the world I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I needed to learn that growing up in a Catholic school didn't necessarily mean that, I was either going to go to hell or heaven. That was those were the only 2 options. But also realize that society is a very cynical place, because if you did have the money, then abortion will suddenly be an option. And when I was presented with that option, I was horrified. And then I consider it, and then I thought, you know what? How many women, okay, this is very personal, but you know me, and I'm a bit crazy, but how many women truly get pregnant the first ever time they have an experience? And that would be me. So I thought, my actual thought was, if I get pregnant the first ever time I'm ever gonna have sex, this child must be very special and worthy of coming into the world. So he is coming into the world, and I don't know how, but it's going to be okay. And it was.
Excellent. And so from your teenage years, let's talk about some of the first jobs that you had.
McDonald's. What else?
McDonald's.
That's where everyone starts, right? No? Is it just me? Okay. Tom, so my day will go like this. I will drop off Tom off at nursery. I will go to school. I will finish school. I will go work a shift at McDonald's, pick Tom up from nursery, go home, do my homework, do it again next day. Tom's dad wasn't financially present. I didn't want to be romantically involved with him. So I told him, and he made me choose. If you break up with me, I won't support either of you. And me being me, I said, don't support either of us then.
Yeah.
And so that was. He tried to come back later in life and change that, but it was too late, and I didn't need him anymore. So, McDonald did.
And is that still the same as it stands today?
Well, I never took away his right to see him. I thought always that even though I didn't agree with his way of seeing life, who was I to judge him openly? And I didn't want to be the reason why Tom didn't develop a relationship with him. So I left him to decide. And many, many years later, Tom decided it is what it is.
Yeah.
And he chose a different dad when I chose my husband.
Yeah. That makes sense. And so going back into the work areas there, you were doing the shifts at McDonald's, you were studying. What was you studying for?
Well, I was doing my last year at university, sorry, at high school, that I had to delay when I gave birth to Tom. And then I went straight to university and I did psychology
Yeah.
for 4 years. And then I did a master's in clinical psychology for further two and an internship in a postgraduate diploma, at which time I had moved job, obviously, and I was working in an insurance company at the time because it was more profitable. So I was selling life insurance to people. And while I was doing my internship, because you don't get paid when you do your medical hours, right?
Yeah.
So I did that, and Tom and I grew very independent, and I moved out of my parents' house, and it was just the two of us growing up together. He would go to school, I would go to the internship, and started practicing and having my clients and being a psychologist really until Matt came along.
Okay, so let's back up a bit before we get, obviously we'll get to Matt as well and we'll get to the business. Talk to me, why did you take the route of doing psychology? What got you to gravitate? Was it the relationship with your family? Is it stuff that you wanted to, the stuff that
No,
skipped in your childhood is a bit of a discovery as well for you?
No, actually, what happened is that I had a scholarship and I had the grades to go into one of the best universities in the country
Yeah.
to do engineering, which is what I was always sort of obviously going to do as per my family because I was so good at math and all that.
Yeah.
But I stood there with my application in my hands and I thought, how do I see myself in 10 years? And just working into an office for someone else, regardless of how much money I could make, just didn't feel like me.
Yeah.
So I went and I submitted my application for psychology instead.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very difficult choice because I had to go back home sweating to inform my parents that I had changed my mind and they didn't longer have an engineer in the making in the family, but rather a psychologist, which they turn around, look at me and say, but that's humanists. That's people. How are you going to do people? Which was a bit of a shock. And I was like, I don't know. I just want to be my own boss. And I always had an interest in philosophy and all. I like to overthink things and fix the world over a drink or two. So yeah, seemed like the life I wanted to have.
So did you start by working at another practice and then you built up your own, or did you start with building your own practice? You qualified. Talk to me about that.
So I studied for 4 years. You decide straight away where you want to go into within the clinical area or not. And I studied for 4 years, all the basic of psychology, different approaches and whatnot, counseling, therapy, etc. And then you may further qualify to be a clinical psychologist and do more further research into certain areas and learn how to do couple therapy and individual and children's and all the different areas that there is to do. So after those 4 years, I did 2 years of internship with patients that will come to the university center as pro bono patients. So we wouldn't get paid for it as part of my practice, as in, the internship. That was me being I had a supervisor behind the typical mirror wall, watching my every move and giving me feedback afterwards until I was fully trained and ready to go on my own, at which time I started my own practice.
Yeah. So talking about your own practice, obviously you got patient confidentiality and stuff. Give me some of the experiences you learned. Were you able to learn from a lot of your patients, or is there more that obviously that they're there to get your help, but is there stuff that you could glean and take from and learn yourself from your patients?
Yeah, I learned a lot about my patients. My patients taught me a lot about myself, actually.
Yeah.
I just happened to get a lot of cases walking through the door that will be children, which is something I never thought I will embrace, just because I never thought myself as a children type of person. I am very, I don't have much patience. So it seemed to me like working with kids just wasn't going to be my thing. But
Yeah.
as I was working more and more with families and children, I realized that with kids, you almost have like this blank canvas that you can make an impact in a very short period of time, and kids assimilate and implement much rapidly than adults do.
Yeah.
And that feedback serves me because of my strict upbringing. I'm needy of feedback, and I'm not ashamed to say it because I'm aware of it. And
Right.
the only difference between everyone else and myself is that I know it. And
Right.
the, and I like to see the effect that my work had in these families, and I got to experience some beautiful, beautiful moments where a tiny change in their way they communicated were going to create a memory forever in this child's life, on this mother's load, or this couple that were actually in the same page and not communicating effectively. So with that, I also learn a lot about and I started to sort of trying to understand why is it that my parents didn't have this and that, or we didn't communicate in this or the other way. And I started learning to forgive, because it taught me that it wasn't my mom's fault that she wasn't a caring, loving mother. It wasn't, she had a problem, she had an illness, and that was unrelated to me, and therefore was not a reflection of my worth and my value. And I started my journey of healing and letting go, and sort of stop hurting, because I had a lot of like, I've done everything right, being an A straight student. Why don't you guys praise me more, love me more? And I actually was brave enough. I remember it now, when I graduated, right before I graduated, I sat down with my dad, and I said to him, my life will be complete if you were just for once to tell me that you're proud of me. I have worked so hard to make you proud, and I've done everything right. You've never told me that you love me, like in words, or told me, I'm very proud of you. To
Yeah.
just say it's my duty.
Yeah.
And then he said, for the first time, I never knew that you needed to know that. Of course, I love you. And that was the first ever time he loved me and hugged me. And we said, I love you, and hug each other ever since. And that was a beautiful moment that it wouldn't have happened had I not had the experience of working with my patients and their own families.
But you waited till you what, early mid-20s to get that level of recognition. So I mean that
Yeah.
it can, I can imagine it be really damaging for that. Like we said, is that you're trying to,
Yeah.
it's like for any child, right? So their formative years between 1 and 4, that's the most loving care element that leads into their, or held in their
Yeah.
subconsciousness. And it's the real formative years of where things could be make or break. And I don't think some people come out the other side of that. That leaves them in a place of unsure prospects
Yeah.
further down their life. But the fact that you went and studied psychology and you're able to do self-awareness and reflection, some people, if they've got situations where they lack the self-awareness to do the work on their self, therefore it's always going to become a struggle through their life. So it's amazing that obviously that happened with your dad and you're able to build that road back. How did that change your life
Yeah.
afterwards?
It changed it completely, because just to be free enough not to have an awkward heart with the person you admire the most
Yeah.
was life changing. And it taught me that quite often in life we complain or we wish things were different, but we don't actually worth it to the other party.
Yeah.
So I almost felt guilty for not having asked for it earlier when he
Yeah.
really needed it. It's like I was always expecting him that he obviously, as a father, should have known that I needed a hug rather than pats on the back and a well done, you
Yeah.
know. And I just didn't know that. So what the way it changed my life is that I learned not to go through life anymore
Yeah.
expecting people to just deliver what I'm hoping for, but actually to ask for it. And I'm still working on that one, to be honest. It's
Yeah.
not a done deal, but you know.
Indeed. Sorry, I've been flicking the screen back in and out because screen freezes. It seems when I take you out the studio and back in, that the camera comes back in. I think it's a technical issue. This
Okay.
has been upgraded to 1080, so where you're on the mobile, it's a bit slowing things down. So it's breaking up the conversation a little bit, but we're back in the game. So from there, let's start getting on to the business side. So how much impact has being a practitioner there of psychology, business? I'm realizing over the last few years is that psychology plays a massive role in business as well. Talk to me about your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I don't think I will be as successful as we are without being the ability and without having the ability and being humble enough to realize that ultimately is the customer who has the voice of what they want to get and what you should be delivering.
Yeah.
Yes, there is data to go through that will tell you if you're going to have a successful product or not, or a company or not, or a brand or not. But at the end of the day, if you just take a step back and listen, if you read reviews, if you hear the voice of the customer and go deep and ask questions into that, there is no way you're going to have a failing product because people are asking everywhere. We're just not reading or listening.
Yeah, that makes sense. And in terms of obviously you've come up the hard way as well, so that makes it dealing with working on an Amazon business and growing that. So let's move into that part of the story now. Is when did you discover Amazon?
It wasn't me actually. It was Matt. 2018.
Okay, let's back up there. Let's just talk about Matt for a little while as well, because he's had an influence on your life. You've traveled the world with him as well. So when did you move to out of Chile, met Matt, etc.? Let's go there first before we go into Amazon.
2006, I met Matt. I was in a bar with a friend. We made a bet. If I kiss a gringo, she'll pay the bill. Seemed like a good deal. We'll never see him again. I won the bet, but it didn't quite work out that way. So here I am.
Excellent.
10 years after we're married. Matt came into my life 2006. He didn't speak Spanish. I didn't speak English. So it's very romantic. We will meet anywhere.
So you learned a different language. It was body language first.
Yeah, it was body language and a lot of vino. We will meet somewhere in the world every 3, 4, 5 months until we run out of money and we got married. And then moved to the UK.
So you traveled around a bit though.
That was 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we traveled on holidays to see each other. I remained in Chile for 3 years. We had a long distance relationship. I was very independent with Tom, having my life, my practice. Matt was in the RAF doing his own thing. It was very practical for both of us. But then we got married and I moved to England 10 years ago, a week ago, and I had to learn English and do this thing of sharing a house and being married to someone and become someone's wife and bring up Lyra, who later came along, and play the let's build a family game.
Excellent.
With
So
a partner.
you came to England 10 years ago, because you're back here now, which we'll get to in a bit. So it was 10 years ago, but Matt's he travels around. Can we say what his profession is?
He's a wing commander in the Royal Air Force. Yeah.
There you go. Nice little job there to travel around, obviously. So
Yeah.
where were you traveling around? 'Cause did you live on some of the bases and stuff as well?
Yes, I did experience a military life. We were in Belgium, we were in different parts of England. We then traveled to America, different parts of America, and then now, 10 years later, Matt is retiring and we're settling in Kent in England. Near
Excellent.
Matt's family. Yeah.
I've got some messages here. Anne says, I'm amazed how quickly Kat was able to scale her business and keep up sales, and she's always willing to share her knowledge and help others. Then she's followed up with typical Anne. Also, Kat's son is smoking hot. Then Lindale says, same thing happened to my mum, talking about, child on first time of connecting with someone. Tiff says, good morning. Then she says, this is a beautiful love story, talked about earlier on with, I'm assuming not understanding the language. And Tim says, haha, this is a great story of how you met Kiss a Gringo.
Yeah.
So let's get to Amazon. So where were you in the world when you launched? Yeah.
Also, we were in Maryland in the States. Matt went to.
Okay, we lost you again, Kat. Let's bring you back. Are you there? We lost your audio, Kat.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, I have my daughter's friends calling her through my phone. Anyway, Maryland, listening to a podcast, start playing with the idea of building a business, perhaps looking into whenever he retires, etc. While I was at home, being an overqualified domestic engineer, doing online masters in my field, psychology, through UK universities, because I really needed to get the language down. I've never been fully happy with my English because it's all been self-taught since 10 years. And I just wanted to, get the lingo going for whenever I was able to come back to England and actually work and practice as a psychologist. But I started taking on more and more. I always kind of like business. I love the idea. I had the idea of a product. We loved it. We developed it, and we actually physically designed, drew, etc. And we launched it.
Yeah. And this was 2018.
Yeah, Q4, late Q4 2018. Yeah.
Okay, so let's run a time then. Late Q4 2018. What happened next? Talk us through the launches, how many products you got, etc., and where you are today.
You're gonna laugh, but actually, I must be the seven-figure seller on Amazon with the least amount of SKUs. I'm not gonna tell you how many, but they are less than 10.
Yeah.
And we launched that one product, and that one product alone reached the 7 figures within 10 months.
Wow, that was pretty good. And is that because, would you say also because your background in psychology and the fact that you got mastered, was you say you were very good at math when you was younger as well? So that gave you the confidence just to go for it?
Yeah, I've always been a little bit crazy. I always had big dreams. Matt's always the one that grounds me a little. Yeah, I was like, I wanna hit $1 million within a year. He was like, darling, you know how long does that take? And I'm like, darling, leave it to me.
Yeah. So did you leverage cash flow, or did you raise money to, because getting there in 10 months is pretty fast.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
No, I bluff my way through funding, Danny. That's the truth.
Come talk to us.
I watch a masterclass. I watch a masterclass that Scott Dees and Leiden, from Titan, put together on how to get a partnership and funding for your business when you don't have a borrowing ability.
Yeah.
And I said, right, I'm doing this. And I wrote a document. I made myself look super professional. I had only ever placed one order with this manufacturer before. And I put together and I show him all the ways as to how their factory was going to grow by helping me with lending me the inventory through Q4 and whatnot. And I said, so I need you to give me a portion of $1 million worth of inventory, because as per this and this and this competitive trends over the last 3 years, this is
Yeah.
how much more we're going to make.
So you on your
And I
first
just
product.
basically didn't give them an option.
Okay. So you boiled them
Yep.
down. So effectively, you had one product, and then you got credit for $250,000.
I got terms. They
Terms.
send the inventory and I didn't have to pay them back for 60 and 90 days. Yeah.
Well, that's credit, isn't it? You got credit, which is terms, yeah.
Yeah.
So you managed to
Yeah.
swindle a factory, whereas most people have to put down 30, pay on 70 after inspection. You managed to get 60 to 90-day terms.
Yeah.
What did you do there?
Yes.
Tell us. How did you do it?
As I said, I just literally followed Scott the masterclass to a T,
Yeah.
and I put the numbers together and I put my forecast together, and I showed them the business they were going to lose out on if
Yeah.
they do not come on board with this amazing.
Yeah. And
So
did they take some
yeah,
convincing? Obviously, you
and
backed
then
it up to date.
we hit. Yeah, they took convincing. They didn't believe that I was serious enough. They wanted to speak with my business advisor, which they assumed it was a male.
Oh, okay.
So I
So it was
got
like
Matt
that, was it? Yeah.
to sit next to me. Yeah. I got Matt to sit next to me. I said, listen, I'm not going to fight this one because it's their culture, right? So just sit next to me. And I told them, this is my business advisor. We've gone through the numbers. We think this is a great opportunity for you and I to grow together. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
And they agreed.
Yeah.
And then when I went to China, when I met you, I actually came clean with the owner of the factory. And I said, by the way, that business advisor was my husband. He still laugh about it till now. But
yeah.
yes.
No, it's interesting because obviously at that moment you're overcoming sexism. You could have took the bait there, couldn't
Hold
you?
on,
And
I can't. What happened? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Let me bring you back in and out.
Can't hear you at all.
Okay. Can you hear me now? We lost you? Are you there? Okay, so we lost her. She'll be back in a moment. Can't think of anything else we need to discuss. What's coming up? I'm just trying to think what we've got coming up next week. What have we got coming up next week that's quite interesting? We've got another in depth, and then on Monday we have our actually I've got to confirm it, but I've got a psychologist called Richard Grannon, very well-known guy, very smart, based in the UK. He's going to come on Mindset Monday, and I want to talk to him about NLP, because obviously you see all of these 3-hour-long webinars, and a lot of that is based around. Hold on, here she comes. Are you back? Can you hear me?
Sorry about. I don't know what's going on. Of course, it was going to happen today.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, your camera's gone off. Let's get you back in the stream. There you go.
There we go.
Right. So what I was saying, I was just speaking to the audience about Richard Grannon. He's a psychologist as well. He's coming on Mindset Monday next week. Going to talk to him about NLP, because you know, like the 3-hour-long webinars and stuff.
Yeah.
That is all designed to empty your pockets as much as possible. So ideally, I want to talk to him about that. I just got to confirm the subject, and so people can understand when they're watching these webinars exactly all the NLP tricks that are going on. So if anyone is who wants to make a comment, let us know if that's something of interest to you. So back to you. The point I was making was that you had a choice. You took it on the chin instead of dealing with the sexism and losing your rag with the guy, because you're fiery, right? You don't take prisoners. You see through that and you thought, okay, you want to play that game. I'll draft Matt in and I'll play that game alongside you. Yeah. And if you want to play that game, because for you, you see it was a means to an end to get a deal done. So you pushed beyond the usual barriers there, because be honest, a lot of people would reacted in a different way. But you see, like the bigger play. And if he said no, you could then call him a sexist arsehole, couldn't you? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not his fault either. It's part of the culture he's in. I already read the books. I already watch all of Kian's videos. I know what dealing with China is like. I've listened to all of your podcasts by then. I know that I'm a little fish just trying to make a living. And quite frankly, all I wanted was £500 in my pocket so I could just go buy knickers without spending my husband's money, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this will come out. This business is because you were at home and you just wanted to build something for yourself. Just take something on for yourself, right?
Yes, I was very depressed. I was an overqualified military wife, unable to work because of the moving every 2 years, which made me very unhappy and very frustrated. So, I pivoted into this and haven't looked back ever since.
Yeah. So you've basically you're in multiples now in terms of 7 figures.
Yes, we are.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So that's all done in 2 years, right?
It's going to be 2 years late September, I think. Yeah.
There you go. So it's quite a feat that you've achieved, and this is one of your outside your practice, right? Because it's business owners, entrepreneurs, etc. That's really your second career in terms of having a business. Is that right?
Yes, we have it's the first time I actually own a business, and it's the first time I grow a team. I have a team of people that I work with. I've been try and to practice and be very humble about listening to the ones that have already done it and see a way to apply that and know that I don't know anything. I'm not only starting. And I think it was Toma last year in China that said to me, I said to him, I don't know how to keep growing. Do I grow markets, SKUs, or do I grow a team? And he said, what do you enjoy the most? And what I enjoy the most is making money without working. So I started to grow laterally. And now I have a team that can run my business without my input.
That's great.
And I am empowering my team. It consists of only women with mothers that work at home. And we often have this weekly meeting where that starts with me asking them, what have I done wrong this week and how can I improve in my role? And they give me their feedback, and they're amazing. And I've empowered them to come out of the shell and realize that they are more than just a mom. And even my factory only ever employs women for my productions. The women come from the villages. I have checked the quality and everything, and they come, they work on my production and go back home. And I'm very proud of that. And I don't ever want any women to feel diminished because they're at home and they're a mom, which is great, but just not enough for some people like me.
That makes sense.
I wasn't happy being a mom only.
So what's been your darkest hour just before dawn?
I have had a lot, but probably I don't know. Probably my darkest hour has been loneliness. I've been very lonely through this journey of leaving my family behind and making friends in a new culture, in a new country, with a language that I didn't speak at the time. And I did manage to get my best friend. She sadly passed away a few years ago. And when she passed away, I think my world crumbled a little because she was the only person within my new English spoken world that I could go to. And then I realized that I was on my own. And that was really sad and still sad. And I have now managed to, make a point of never being lonely again. And I put myself out there and meet like-minded people and invest time and effort into friendship, but not half-assed friendship, true friendship. I will. My go-to, my motto is, I'm never gonna put on a bra if you're not worthy of it. Like that hassle needs to mean something. So if I'm gonna go out and spend time outside of my comfort, PJs, you're worth it. And through the military life, you get a lot of shit, and a lot of women that are not worthy of friendship, and a lot of women that are really, really cool and really, really hard workers and really, really underappreciated as well.
Yeah.
So yes, that has been the dark hour is the loneliness that comes with moving countries, learning languages, and be constantly on the move, starting something new.
Yeah. No, I use the phrase ride or dies. You have certain people around you and you can't get enough of those. They are the ones that are there no matter what, even if I'm sitting in there, there are certain people I would drop the mic and deal with right now. It's not even a question. I'll say, sorry, this interview is over. But building those relations and having those isn't an easy thing, and things like sway and different moves in life. But if you can, as many of them as you have around you, that's the best place to be in the world. You can't replace that. That's something that money can't buy.
Yes, but also within this business, you meet a lot of people, and there's a lot of shiny friendships, and there is a lot of people that you think you're going to be best friends with, and then you realize that actually they never give you anything back, so you don't really want to be into that either. And this environment, much like the military wives environment, can be a little bit energy sucking. And that's why I try to just choose my people, stick with my people, and I'm always open to meet new people. And if anyone says I feel lonely, I'm going to be there, because I've been there, and it's the worst feeling in the world. But I am no longer the woman that I want to expect something in return, which is, I think, what I used to be. I would used to always put the other cheek, and I think that now I've learned that I'm worthy of a little bit more than that.
Yeah, much respect to that. Legacy or money?
Legacy.
How would you like to be remembered?
Oh, I would like to be remembered as a good mother and a good friend.
That's great. That's your in depth. How do you feel?
Relieved, but I also feel like I didn't get to address that none of what I am today will be possible without the support of my amazing husband and his family here in Britain, who are truly the only family I have left now. So,
well, I said to you a few weeks ago, he's a keeper. He's a really good guy. So
he's a bit too good. It's annoying. I can't get away with as much as I could because I feel guilty, which sucks because I'm really bitchy at times. But yeah, he's pretty good.
Cool. Excellent. If people want to reach you, what's the best way to get in contact?
Kata titanmembers.com.
Excellent.
That will be it, or Facebook.
Excellent. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this show today. Today is Thursday, so I'll be back on Monday. My guest should be Richard Grennan, as I said, the psychologist. We're talking about a subject which hopefully is going to be around NLP. And with that, we're going to talk, like the 3 hour, because you were off call, Kat, these 3 hour webinars, how they're broken out to empty your pockets. So hopefully I've still got to completely discuss it with him. But I'd like to see how we can pick that apart, because everyone runs, signs up, sits there and goes, did I just fucking sit through and watch all of that stuff? Do you know what I mean? But just all like these little tricks and things people do to get you on the hook to spend money. It'd be nice, and it'd be a bit of a fun, bit of banter to see how that breaks down and how they do it, why they do it, and so that you're aware in the future, if you start watching one of those webinars, you can pick up on all of those NLP clues. So
yeah, it's fascinating and dangerous.
Yes, it will. If it's used the wrong way, it can be very dangerous. That's what I say to people when you're at a conference: never let anyone tap you on the shoulder. You know what I mean? So anyway, we'll leave it there, guys. Have a safe weekend. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. It seems to be good in most places. I'll be back here Mindset Monday. Take care. Big love to your family. See you soon.
Bye-bye.